Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. One of my subscribers asked me how I felt about the co-founder of Facebook giving up his U.S. citizenship in order to evade taxes. And I really did, I did ponder that for a while because I wasn't exactly sure how I felt about it. Because ultimately, I am a guy that doesn't like taxes, you know, and part of me applauds him for figuring out how to get away with not paying a bunch of it. But having said that, I'm also an American, and so it's quite a conundrum for me. We're talking about, of course, Eduardo Saverin, I believe his name is. I've got the Eduardo part right, but I'm not entirely positive how you pronounce his last name, but it's S-A-V-E-R-I-N. I think it's Saverin. Anyway, he co-founded Facebook. Some of you may have seen the movie Social Network, which actually painted him as a very sympathetic character that got screwed over by Mark Zuckerberg. You know, and how true that is, I don't know. Clearly, if you're going to get screwed over, though, it should be the kind of screwing that he got, which made him a very wealthy man. Because ultimately, from my understanding, he's a billionaire. Now, he may not have the kind of billions that Zuckerberg has, but at some point, who gives a shit, right? So anyway, whatever. But here's the thing. There's two things I want to talk about here. The first thing I want to talk about is the hypocrisy on the left when it comes to taxes and wealth. And you know, some of the loudest and squeakiest wheels are just a bunch of flipping hypocrites, including Warren Buffett. Okay, but I'll get to that in a second. The other thing I want to talk about is patriotism, Americanism, what it means to be a patriotic American, what it means to be an American, and also what it means to be a U.S. corporation. You know, I think things have really changed a lot in that world. I mean, I don't know that a lot of corporations today think of themselves as U.S. corporations. I think they think of themselves as this global entity with really no flag. Maybe the UN flag. I don't know. But I'll get to that in a second. Secondly, or last. First of all, let's talk about the hypocrisy that's involved here. And I look at this from all the left. Now, I'm assuming that Eduardo Saverin is a lefty. Chances are he went to Harvard. He was probably, I'm sure he was indoctrinated. He came from what country did he come from? Like Salvador or some shit. So he basically came from a whole country. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't really know. But he came from a much lesser country in the sense that less opportunities, whatever. I mean, clearly he came to the United States and wanted to become a citizen. You don't do that if your home country is the bomb. That's just the way it is. So no offense to wherever he came from, but it is what it is. So anyway, listen to me. I'm trying to backpedal quickly. Anyway, listen. I'm going to assume he's a lefty because I think everything points to that. And I know Zuckerberg is because we've seen him on stage with his buddy Barack. You know, peddling his nonsense about how we should all pay more in taxes, which I think is funny. Now, it would have been even better if Zuckerberg would have been the one that was trying to dodge taxes after that nonsense, you know. But I guess it really doesn't matter because they're all doing the same thing in one form or another. And I guarantee you Zuckerberg has a slew of accountants trying to make sure how he can get off on a lot of taxes. He just doesn't have it like Eduardo has it. Because clearly Eduardo, being that he wasn't born in this country, obviously didn't have any real emotional tie to the United States. See, I personally would have a very difficult time, regardless of how much money was involved in giving up my U.S. citizenship, because I'm a patriotic American, you know. So, anyway, the left, and also including your Hollywood types, your Alec Baldwins and all those, you know, idiots, who are raising tons of money for Barack Obama, for the president. Well, you know, real funny, real quick. Did anybody here see, in the comment section, let me know, did you see the interview with Will Smith where he was talking about how, you know, he could only do what he could do in the United States of America, and if he has to pay a little more taxes, then he's okay with that? Did you see that? Here's the part that they didn't show. This was the best part. Because I was kind of pissed off initially until it was like kind of like a Paul Harvey moment where now you know the rest of the story. There was more to that interview that you didn't get to see. A lot of us didn't get to see. I don't even remember how I ended up seeing it. But then he was told in French that if he lived in France, he would be taxed at a rate of 75%. And the look on his face when the interpreter told him that was it was precious. Because, you know, these lefties, these socialists, these Hollywood socialists, you know, It's just hilarious when reality kind of confronts them like that. Because they look at France and they look at a lot of Europe as, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. These people, this is socialist utopia. But what they don't really get is exactly that he would be taxed at 75%. At what now? So that means for every dollar you're making, you get to keep 25 cents of it. At what point aren't you a slave? Seriously, at what point aren't you a slave? And that's what a lot of lefties in America don't get. That is literally what direction the progressives in this country would like to take us in. They want us to be France. They want everybody to be taxed like that because they want everybody to be reliant on the government, which gives them power. You know, I mean, it is what it is. So anyway, back to the lefties and their hypocrisy. You know, all these people on the left that are beating this drum about how we all need to raise our taxes and everybody should pay their fair share and all this nonsense, do everything they can possibly do not to pay their fair share. You know, which I'm okay with, except for the fact that they're trying to get everybody else screwed. You know, and that's the thing that kills me. Warren Buffett. I wish somebody would just look at that old man and say, listen, buddy, if you're going to spew that nonsense, you need to open up your books to us. Let's see how much money your accountants have saved you from paying taxes. Let's see how much money you spend on accounting firms to make sure that your tax burden is less than your secretary's. Because I personally think Warren Buffett's full of shit. And you know what? He's never once opened up his checkbook and said, you know, I've made a lot of money in my life and more than I'll ever be able to spend, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to donate that to the IRS as a gift. No, it's never happened. And here's the other part about his hypocrisy. And it goes right along hip to hip with Bill Gates. Warren Buffett has basically put in his will that the vast majority of his wealth is going to go to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation so they can distribute it the way they feel fit. Which on the surface, you know, that's fine with me. Whatever, it's your money. You can do what you want. Even though, I mean, I may disagree with some of the ways that they use their money. It's their money to do what they want to as far as their charitable works go. But wait a minute. If Buffett really truly thought that the American government could do a better job with the money, why wouldn't he just say, upon my death, $45 billion is going to go to the IRS coffers to pay off the national debt or whatever? No. He doesn't do that because he knows damn well that the U.S. government isn't capable of doing jack squat right. They'll screw it all up, piss the money away, and nobody will be helped in the end. Whereas at the very least, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, there will be some good. I don't even want to get into that whole foundation because I think they make some horrible decisions. But that's not my business. It's their business to do with their money as they please. I just find it ironic that Warren Buffett does that. So, once again, just the hypocrite. They're all hypocrites. I don't care if it's Warren Buffett, Will Smith, Eduardo Severin, and I guarantee you if you scrutinized almost any one of those liberals. Oh, no, you know what? I won't even say almost any one of those. Every one of those liberals. If you scrutinized them and they were willing to open up their books to you, you would find out that they spend a lot of money and a lot of effort trying to get out of paying taxes. You know, and here's the thing a lot of people don't get. When they talk about being for the middle class and all that crap, listen, they're full of it. Let me tell you how a real progressive feels. A real progressive, okay, you're hardcore liberal, okay, they feel that if you're not reliant on the United States government, if you're not reliant on Uncle Sugar's tit to get by in life, then clearly you're wealthy. Okay, I mean, don't make any mistakes. When they start talking about, oh, people over 250,000, then it goes to 200,000. Trust me when I tell you that they will have that tax bracket jacked up for people that make 40 grand a year. Anybody that doesn't need food stamps to get by, trust me when I tell you that they really think that you're wealthy because they believe in their little utopian world that everybody should be reliant on the government and everybody should have a cradle-to-grave situation. And so if you have any money above what the government gives you, you should throw it into the till so everybody can be helped. I mean, it's a real kumbaya clusterfuck is what it is. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So, all right. So we got covered the hypocrisy. Tell me in the comment section if you think I'm wrong. I don't think I am. I'm running out of time because YouTube's like that. Let me go ahead and skip over to the Americanism, the patriotism. There was a time in this country when American companies, General Motors, Ford, Hughes, they all felt like they were Americans first. Literally, they were Americans first. During the war effort in World War II, every one of them did their part, building tanks, airplanes, you know, to win the war. They were Americans. They flew the flag proudly. At some point, probably starting, I'm guessing, in the late 70s. At some point, American companies started looking at themselves as these international conglomerates. They started looking at themselves not as American companies, but as global entities with no flag. Well, maybe the UN flag, but truthfully, no flag. You see it everywhere. You see American cruise ships being flagged in foreign countries. You just see everything. I remember seeing an interview with Ted Turner, the founder of CNN. And they asked him if CNN was an American news company, and he looked at them, and let me tell you something. Ted Turner is a dyed-in-the-wool liberal. He's a hardcore UN guy. He looked at the camera and he said, "We are not an American news company. We are a world news company." Okay, so, well, you know what? Where's his loyalty? I guarantee you it's not with America. Guaranteed. So, let me give you a little story real quick. A man named Howard Hughes. Some of you older guys are probably going to remember who I'm talking about. Some of you younger guys have no clue. At one time, Howard Hughes was the richest man in the country. Maybe even the richest man in the world. He was flat out wealthy. But a real American. A real American. Now, I don't remember what year it was, and I believe it was in the early 70s. The United States government went to Howard Hughes, very secretly, very quietly, and said, "Mr. Hughes, there has been a Soviet nuclear submarine that has sank, and it's sitting at the bottom of the ocean. We have a fair idea of exactly where it's at. We need to retrieve it, but we have to do it black ops. We have to do it off the radar." So Howard Hughes, being a good American, okay, and owning, many companies under the Hughes name, Hughes Aircraft, Hughes whatever, he floated a news story that, because when Howard Hughes spoke, people listened and people printed whatever the hell he had to say, okay, even at that stage. He floated a news story saying that he was going to be exploring for oil and had developed a new ship for that purpose. But that ship really wasn't for that purpose. That ship was designed to get the sub. And that is something that he proudly did as an American. It was a very covert operation. He used his corporation to retrieve a Soviet sub for his country. Okay? Now, in today's world, and I'll even say Hughes Corp, because Howard Hughes corporations are still huge. In today's world, if the United States government went to, let's just say, any one of the Hughes corporations and said, "Hey, we'd like you to do this because of this," they'd tell them, hell no. It wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. I really believe that. Some people may argue. You can let me know in the comments section if you think I'm wrong on that. But I really do believe that today it just wouldn't happen. I think that they would be worried that they would be looked upon as some kind of, traitor to the United Nations or some shit like that. There are no American companies anymore. There's no loyalty. There's no, nobody in the boardroom ever thinks to themselves, well, if we do this, could it possibly have a negative effect on the United States? They just don't. They don't. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And they would cut our throats in this country to make a buck quicker than shit. And it's sad. When the left starts harping about corporations, and in all honesty, sometimes I have to bite my tongue because, truthfully, a lot of the stuff they have to say about corporations is right. It's spot on. But not for the reasons that they try to say. It's just so sad that we've become this multinational world, there's just no patriotism. Well, and you know what? Eduardo Savron proves that point too on an individual level. He became a U.S. citizen, and I guarantee you, when he became a United States citizen, he was proud. And he was excited, and he thought to himself, this is going to open up a world of opportunities for me. But the sad thing about it is that the minute he made a lot of money, he gave up his U.S. citizenship. So, and I say he never gets it back. Period. I don't care what happens to him. Right now, apparently he's in somewhere in Asia, investing in all kinds of corporations, none of which are American. So anyway, I'm running out of time. YouTube's got me on a short leash. They got me on a short leash. Let me know what you think. In the comment section, let me know what you think. Anyway, everybody, take care. See ya.